Hi, welcome back to On the Level Leadership. And this week, I really want to talk about the importance of taking a break. So, this week, I really wanted to cover the notion of taking a break and how important it is, especially when we're in the process of building something or when we're in the middle of a change of some sort or trying to figure out our next steps. So for me, the move from being an employee will become finalized over the next few weeks. And it's making it very real for me that not only do I now have a business that is being developed and under development, but I really do have a lot of work to do. Also, just living life, being a mother of three, maintaining a household. I have a very willing and activity sharing partner in my husband. He pulls his own weight around here, does the laundry, etc. But the reality is that all of these different activities that includes a lot of thinking is exhausting. So having the conversation this week with my coach about my stress levels and my inability to sleep and so on, it became clear that it's probably likely that I just need to, one, be more compassionate towards myself, which is something that, a colleague of mine on LinkedIn reminded me of this morning, being compassionate with myself. And number two, the other item is, learning to take a break, learning to say, you know what, it's okay to just rest and not do anything. That is an astonishingly hard thing to do when you're building a business or when you are a type A personality or when you are, hyper productive or when you are really nervous about the next phase of your life and you just want to keep doing things so that you can make sure you're successful. It can be extremely overwhelming to think about taking a break. When we look at physical activity, the science is quite clear that you need to allow your body to rest and recover for a variety of good reasons. And I was doing some research on this online. I kind of already knew these things intrinsically, but I was doing some research online this morning around the importance of resting and recovering. While the information online is primarily focused on the physicality of your human body, there are some very tangible, translatable tips of information that can be applied from the physical to the emotional and psychological world. So one of them is the notion that you'll just get fitter if you take a break. So, there's a common understanding out there that you don't get stronger during the workout, you get stronger between the workouts. And how does that work? Well, physiologically speaking, we all know that when you exercise, especially if you're doing weight-bearing exercises lifts of various kinds, especially with free weights, for example, you're creating micro tears of your muscles, which when your body is in the rest mode, it is recovering. It's not only healing those muscles that have been damaged, but it's actually bolstering them up so that the next time they don't get ripped. So what happens is you build muscle in response to the stress that you've imposed on your body. Well, let me ask you a question. Does it stand to reason then that if you're trying to change something, whether it's a habit, whether it's an activity, whether it's going from A to B in terms of a goal, doesn't it make sense that if you take action on something and you take a break, the rewiring that's happened in your brain or the habit you're trying to develop will kind of heal in a way that maybe makes it a little easier the next time around to keep acting? It's not exactly the same physiology neurologically as it is physically in your muscles, but it's pretty close in the sense that, as you're trying to drive neural pathways, it can exhaust you. As you're trying new things and you're trying to develop new things, it's exhausting. I don't know if anybody's ever taken a course where you're like, man, this course is exhausting me at the end of the day. You've done nothing but sit in a chair all day on a computer, but you're completely wasted. Well, because you're using brain juice to do that work. Doesn't it make sense then that you need to rest in between action in order to be able to really recover and build some strength and stamina for the next time you take action? Another reason why it's important to take a rest, especially on the physicality side of it, is that when you exercise and you take a break, when you go to exercise again, you are less likely to injure yourself and you're more likely to be recharged. So if you're less likely to be injured the next time you exercise, then again, I would say, I'm going to ask the question, does it not make sense that if you don't psychologically want to burn out, or if you psychologically don't want to become more injured, does it not make sense to take a break so that you are more psychologically prepared to deal with the next event or the next action you're going to take. So I just want to put a huge disclaimer here because I'm using the word psychologically a lot. I am not a therapist. I am not a mental health practitioner. I am just a registered nurse. However, I do know that in my own personal experience, not taking a break has burned me out twice in my career. Working constantly, never-ending hours, with non-ending expectations and non-ending activities under very tight timelines has really truly created situations of burnout for me in the past. So I'm not a therapist by any stretch, so please don't take this as medical advice. But the reality is that taking a break or learning to take breaks is super important to allow you not just to recover, but to prevent further injury or to prevent further burnout or stress-related injuries on your mindset. The other thinking is that if you take breaks, that when you do go to act or when you do go to train again, that you not only will you be able to train more consistently, but that you'll be able to train harder because your muscles have grown between exercise experiences. I could argue the same thing for neurological growth. You know, if you're changing the pathways because you're changing a habit or you're moving from A to B again, like I said, the next time you go to take action, you not only will have more focus, you'll have more resolve. You may actually have the wherewithal to just kind of keep pushing maybe a little further beyond a comfort zone, for example. The other piece to exercise and taking breaks in between exercise regimens is the notion of being able to sleep better. So I know for me, the level of stress in the work that I'm doing right now is causing an impact to my sleep, where I'm not sleeping maybe as sound or maybe as long as I normally would have prior to all of these change happening in my life. So sometimes when we get really overwhelmed by change in our life, it tends to affect our sleep. We either have nightmares or we wake up in the middle of the night and our brains will shut off and now it's 4 o'clock in the morning and you can't get back to sleep. Or maybe you're not sleeping quite as sound and you wake up in the morning, you're not quite as rested as you were prior to the big change you're trying to make. So it can affect your sleep, but the notion of rest in between exercise to actually help improve your sleep on the physicality side may actually have some translation when it comes to psychological. So if you take a break from the work that you're doing and you're not thinking about the next action, you're not thinking about the next stage, then it is entirely plausible that you may actually sleep better because you've accepted the time where you've turned off your brain. Now, if you're like me and you have a lot of anxiety, that may not be the case regardless, but I think that there might be some plausibility to this where if you let go of something for a week or two, let's say you take an extended break from action, right? It may be just what you need so that when you come back, you're in a better place to really take action in a way that's more measured and more consistent, and might actually help you sleep better because now you've had a chance to kind of rest and recover. And when you do come back and you're able to take action, you're going to feel more confident in what you're doing and it'll help you sleep because you'll have less anxiety about what you're doing. While not exactly able to translate between physical exercise and mental work that you're doing and whatever it is you're trying to achieve in your life, I do think that there are things that we can learn from the physiological side of things. So when we talk to our kinesiology friends and they tell you about what's good or not good about taking a rest between exercise, I would ask you or challenge you to really think about how could I apply that to my psychological and emotional well-being. I know for me, it is entirely possible that I take a break from this channel in the month of December as I leave one place and start to transition more wholly to the other. You know, I need time to decompress. I've gone through, as many of us have, through a COVID crisis with a lot of stress and strain. I have been in public health at the federal level for the past 10 years, but the past 2 years, or 18 years rather, but the past 2 years has been above and beyond stress levels. And, you know, you need time to recover from that and to give yourself time to really digest what you went through and really observe what you learned about yourself. And so my goal is to take some time at some point, probably in December, where I won't post videos for a couple of weeks, where I can just sort of rest and contemplate my life a little bit and maybe, you know, allow my brain to process all that I have done so far in the development of my business. There's a rule out there. They talk about the 80-20 rule. And I used to use this for my diet, actually. For the longest time, I would do, 80% of the time be really, really good in what I chose to eat and 20% of the time allow some cheat. If it applies to exercise where, you make sure that you might be working hard 80% of your days of the week and then the other 20% of the time you're resting, I'm thinking, maybe there's a rule that we can apply to our everyday work that allows us to rest and recover from a psychological and emotional perspective as well. So maybe 80% of your day is really about focusing on whatever it is you need to do towards your goal, but allow yourself a 20% rest. And I'm not talking about including sleep in that. I'm thinking like you got 18 hours where you're awake in the day, then, use up 80% of that if that's what you desire to really work towards your goals, but allow for 20% to decompress on a daily basis. I would even argue that if you do that, you can add on top of that 80% of your week could be towards your intended goals. But make sure that you book in 20% of your week or 20% of your month or 20% of your year taking a break. And if you do that and you do the math, it can be from a few hours to a couple of days to a couple of weeks on a regular basis where you build in time to rest and recover so that you can keep going more consistently over time and not completely burn out like I did. I went down in flames back in May of last year and completely burnt out and was off work for about 4 weeks because my brain just could no longer function and my body was physically ill from all of the stress. If you're in that circumstance where you're starting to feel that stress like I am right now, really consider the break. I mean, my coach recommended that I not post to this channel for a period of time, but I actually really enjoy this. I enjoy the process of filming, I enjoy the process of researching, and I enjoy talking to all of you. So I'm here. But I did say, well, I might negotiate some time where I actually take a break for some time during Christmas so that I can rest, recover, and really just prepare myself for the push in January and February in really growing this business the way I want to grow it. So that might mean that the course I'm doing right now on how to master your imposter might be put off until the winter months. So just a heads up on that. I've started doing some work on that and some researching on that to curate the course. But with that and everything else that's going on in my life right now, it just feels a bit much. So I'll probably push that off until January, February and do my launch in the winter, which is fine. It's okay. And that's the fun and the beauty about all of this is you just need to find a way to be okay with whatever it is that you need to do to make yourself more ready to deal with life, but more importantly, so that you can find ways of coping with the world around you in a way that's sustainable and doesn't deplete you of your joy. I think the thing that she said the most that really hit me the most is do what gives you joy, right? So that you can recover. So it's really important that in that 20%, when you're taking a break, that you're not thinking about work or thinking about your business, but that you're doing something that gives you joy. And that's really, at the end of the day, the most important thing is to find that joy, because that joy is what's going to keep you going over and over and over again over time. So anyway, just a little thought this week around the notion of taking a break and how important it is, and to apply some of our research colleagues' thinking around the physicality of breaks to maybe our mental health and our psychological well-being as we try to develop things or work towards our own goals. So hopefully you found some use out of this. If you did, you can certainly give this video a like. And if you like this content, I'm here every week. You can feel free to subscribe. I'm here every week talking about either coaching or leadership. This happened to be my coaching corner this week. So welcome to On the Level Leadership, and I hope to see you next week. Talk to you soon. Bye.